My sister's wedding plans cost me everything, but I had a secret. The venue manager whispered, "Your card declined again. Who's paying now?" I'm Noah, 31, a union electrician who knows the voice of voltage. My hands pay my rent. My tools have my name burned into their handles. I fix emergencies at 2 a.m., trace shorts no one else can find, and I sleep on a futon that creaks like a stubborn hinge. Small life, Serena says, but reliable. Today I'm in a borrowed blazer, pretending not to smell like flux and solder, while the manager slides 3 invoices across a marble bar. Serena, my older sister, wanted a chandeliered fairy tale for the family's image. "It's not about us," she told me. "It's about how we'll be remembered." Mom nodded along, eyes shiny, saying weddings happen once. Caleb, the fiancé, clapped my shoulder like we were teammates. "Noah's good with numbers," he announced to the planner, as if arithmetic and bailouts were the same thing. The invoices totaled 17,000 overdue for Rush Florals, VIP valet expansion, and a lighting concept revision. The manager lowered his voice, offering a temporary authorization for my card until Caleb's incoming transfer landed. I felt all the vendors' eyes, baker, DJ, planner, waiting for the guy with calloused hands to save the day. I should have said no. Instead, I looked at Serena, whose smile trembled at the edges, the way it did when Dad left, and she decided she would never look poor again. The truth none of them knew. Last year this venue nearly failed inspection. I led emergency rewiring at cost, and in exchange the owner offered a silent stake, an LLC buried under another shell, with one strange clause. A minority member may freeze events for cause involving suspected fraud or safety risks. I accepted because it felt like grown-up security, not because I wanted power. "Do you authorize?" the manager asked, pen hovering. My pulse counted out breaker ratings. If I signed, I'd own the debt. If I refused, Serena would spiral, Mom would plead, and Caleb would smirk. I signed the temporary authorization and watched the pen scratch my name, each letter a fuse burning down. When we stepped into the lobby, Caleb's phone lit up with unknown numbers, and he laughed again, loudly. Then the manager murmured, "There's also a missing deposit, 50,000. Mom says Serena has always been the face, and I'm the hands. In childhood photos, she's center stage in sparkly costumes. I'm behind the curtain holding a flashlight." When Dad left, Serena declared we would never be overlooked again. She learned how to turn a coupon into a performance, how to make a borrowed dress look like a brand campaign. I learned circuits, overtime, and the right way to carry shame without dropping it in public. Serena's fiancé, Caleb, entered like a man who never waited in lines. He tipped hosts before being seated and said things like, "We're building an experience." The first time I fixed a tripped breaker in their rental, he looked at my boots and grinned. "A craftsman," he said, "salt of the earth." He made salt sound like dirt. Serena laughed too brightly, eyes flitting between us like a director worried I might forget my lesser role. 2 weeks before the invoices, Serena cornered me after Sunday dinner. "I need you to co-sign the linen order," she said, casual as weather. Mom rinsed plates without meeting my eyes. "It's for the family's image," Serena added. "We can't look cheap at my age." I reminded her I rent, I budget, and my emergency fund has a name. Rent when my back goes out. She smiled like I was adorable. "Noah, your job is flexible. This is once in a lifetime." A fresh wound bloomed the next day. Caleb posted a story from a tux fitting. A mirror selfie, champagne flute raised, captioned, "Some people wire lights, some people become them." Serena reposted with 3-star emojis and tagged me. My coworkers sent screenshots with question marks. I typed and deleted replies until the screen blurred, then texted Serena, "Don't tag me for clout." She answered, "Grow up. Support your family." Aunt Rosa saw the post and called that night. "Mijo, keep your receipts," she said. "Feelings get loud. Numbers are quiet but sharp." I thought about the quiet clause in my stake and filed her words like invoices, crisp and dated. At midnight, Serena messaged, "Also need you to cover the lighting deposit by Friday." She added, "Caleb says you owe us after everything we've done." Red flags don't wave, they rustle. The first was a duplicate invoice from the florist, same invoice number, new date, an extra line for imported peonies, emergency freight. When I called, the florist sounded apologetic and confused. We already received the deposit from Caleb last month, she said, rustling paper. Are you sure? I asked. Because the venue shows a balance. She sighed. We were told the deposit bounced, but was resent by a planner escrow. We're just following instructions. The second flag came as a rush fee from the venue's in-house lighting vendor, My Lane. I'd already drawn up a safe load plan for the ballroom. 200 amps split across 4 dimmer packs, clean and conservative. The vendor's quote added hazers, uplights, and a monogram projector that would push the system to 275 amps. I asked Caleb if he'd approve this expansion. He winked. It's an experience, Noah. Don't be so municipal. Then the planner's assistant emailed me a cheerful reminder about a missing deposit for the Champagne Tower rental. The link pre-filled my name and a card form I never gave them. I replied asking why I was listed as payer. Silence. 2 hours later, Serena texted, "Don't stress the details. Caleb says he'll wire by Friday." I tried to dismiss it. I told myself weddings are messy and vendors are disorganized. But doubt ticked like a breaker about to trip. When I stopped by the venue to inspect a panel, the manager lowered his voice. "Caleb asked us to move all notices to you," he said, sliding a folder. Inside, copies of courtesy extensions, a final notice, and an unsigned owner indemnity. My name was typed under responsible party, even though I never authorized that change. I called Caleb from the parking lot. He sent me to voicemail 3 times. At work, a tenant buzzed me about flickering hall lights. I almost laughed. By lunch, I'd called the planner, the florist, and texted Serena. "Please confirm who is contractually responsible." She replied, "Picking heels, don't kill the vibe." Aunt Rosa said, "Fraud loves flattery and speed, slow it down." That night, my super posted a rent increase. The math hissed. "Noah, they forged your signature on a vendor guarantee, twice." The tasting was supposed to sell us on joy. Instead, a server refilled Caleb's glass every time he made a joke at my expense. "Noah thinks dimmers are a personality," he told the table. "He labels his cereal." Serena laughed too hard, then leaned close to whisper, "Please don't scowl. You're ruining the video." The planner clicked around an iPad showing mood boards, champagne fog, gold runners, a towering floral arch. I tried to taste the food and not the humiliation. At the end, the venue manager approached with a folder and a practiced half-smile. "We'll need the remaining balance on the room hold by close of business," he said, low enough to keep it off camera. Caleb lifted his glass. "Wires landing any minute," he said. The manager nodded the way people nod when they've learned not to argue with hope. A man in an ill-fitting suit hovered by the door, checked a paper, then approached me. "Noah Alvarez?" he asked. "You've been served." He handed me a notice from the Champagne Tower rental, a demand letter naming me as guarantor, payment due in 72 hours to avoid legal action. Serena went pale. "Why are they sending him that?" she asked. Caleb's jaw hardened. "Clerical error," he said. "We'll sort it out." In the parking lot, I asked Caleb to show proof of his wire. He showed a screenshot of a pending transfer with the account number blurred. I laughed, not kindly. "Unblur it." He tucked his phone away. "Do you not trust me?" "Trust is voltage you measure," I said. "Show me the numbers." Serena stepped between us, furious. "You're embarrassing me. We can't look cheap now." Behind her anger, I saw fear. If the wedding shrank, would her status shrink with it? Would she? I looked at Mom's pinched mouth and recognized a familiar hunger. To be seen, just once, as enough. I went home and opened a spreadsheet like prayer. Dates, amounts, reference numbers, facts that ignore charm. At 11:43 p.m. The planner emailed. Per Caleb, extend Noah's temporary authorization to floral freight. My phone buzzed. A recording about personal guarantee obligations. Then Aunt Rosa texted, "Come tomorrow. Bring the contracts and your courage." I sold my second toolbox first. The big orange one with the dented lid and my sentimental tape measure. Then I broke my lease. The landlord didn't even pretend to be surprised. Electricians move for work all the time. I stacked my life into 3 Rubbermaid bins and a milk crate of manuals, stashed them at Rose's. Serena cried on the phone while I paid the rush floral freight with a card I shouldn't have used. "You're saving the day," she said. "You'll be proud when you see it all together." Pride, in my experience, is what happens after the light comes back on and no one asks who stood in the dark. Word spread, Noah's got it. Vendors started CCing me by default. The planner chirped, "You're a hero," and sent an updated run of show with 4 new items. I updated my spreadsheet and watched the total creep past the number I'd sworn never to cross. Mom said Serena was under a lot of stress and Caleb was handling things behind the scenes. I asked which scenes, because the ones I could see were invoices and threats. Mom sighed, which in our family means this conversation is closing. "Please don't fight," she said. "Families help. Weddings are about unity." I slept on Rose's pullout. At breakfast, she slid a folder across. Inside were sticky notes with questions: who authorized changes, where funds originated, why deposits bounced. "You can love your sister and also refuse to underwrite delusion," she said. "Keep every email. Screenshot every message. If they push, make them sign." I told her about my silent stake in the venue and the clause no one else knew about. She nodded once, like a judge delivering a sentence she didn't enjoy. "Paper beats charm," she said. "And charm panics when photocopied." I forwarded the voicemail to Serena and Caleb with a calm subject line, "Action required," and waited. Hours passed. Caleb replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Serena sent cake photos captioned, "Vanilla or almond?" I typed, "Authorize payment in writing or the event pauses." Back came a sentence from Caleb, "You wouldn't dare embarrass your own family." I stared at the clause again and felt the breaker finally heat. At Rose's kitchen table, I started over like a junior apprentice. I printed every contract and spread them across oilcloth peaches. On the florist agreement, my signature slanted uphill, the N looped wrong. I never loop my N. Rosa fetched a magnifying glass like we were in a grandmother detective show. "Different pen pressure," she said. "Photocopy paste." The planner's retainer addendum listed a contact email I didn't recognize. Noah. A projects at Outlook, a burner that wasn't mine. When I wrote to it, a polite auto-reply bounced back, "Mailbox full," and the footer said sent with GalaHub, a planning platform I'd never joined. Then a bank envelope arrived at Rose's with my name spelled perfectly, the way only someone copying a license gets it right. Inside, a courtesy reminder that a short-term loan payment for event operations was past due. The loan agreement included a driver's license photo that was my face, my number, but the address was Serena's rental. Caleb's name didn't appear anywhere. Instead, the cosigner field read, "Family Guarantor." My stomach went cold, then hot. I called the bank, gave the loan number, and the rep used a tone I reserve for sparking wires. "Mr. Alvarez, we can't discuss details without the co-applicant." "Who's the co-applicant?" I asked. "I can't disclose," she said. "But you can hear this. Payments have not posted." I texted Serena, "Did you or Caleb open a loan in my name?" She responded with a storm of bubbles. Then, "Of course not. Why are you sabotaging my happiness?" Caleb called immediately, voice syrup. "Bro, everyone uses short-term financing for cash flow. It's just optics." "Optics don't sign my name wrong," I said. He exhaled like a victim. "You electricians always think the world is a breaker box." I opened the venue's member portal and reread the clause. Upon reasonable suspicion of fraud or material misrepresentation affecting safety, a minority member may freeze any event pending review. I had reasonable suspicion and a stack of misrepresentations, but freezing meant detonating Serena's dream. Rosa put a hand over mine. "You freeze to protect, not to punish," she said. At 2:11 a.m., the burner email sent one line. "Payment proof attached. Don't be dramatic." The PDF was a photoshopped wire with yesterday's date and tomorrow's timestamp. Morning made me meaner and more methodical. I visited the florist, who wore exhaustion like perfume. "We keep getting told different payers," she said, tapping her ledger. Caleb gave us a routing number that flagged as closed. Then the planner said use an escrow. "Now your name keeps appearing." She turned her monitor. The escrow's email domain matched the burner auto-reply footer. I took photos with timestamps. "Why keep shipping flowers?" I asked gently. "Because brides cry," she said, not unkindly. At the venue, I asked to see all change orders. The manager, who now treated me like a fused panel, brought folders. I found a safety override form with my typed name authorizing extra hazers and uplights, an instant respiratory risk for elderly guests. I never sign overrides casually. It's a license risk move. The timestamp was 3:24 p.m. On a day I was repairing a school auditorium across town. I pulled my job ticket. It had badge swipes to prove it. Who submitted this? I asked. Planner's assistant uploaded it via GalaHub, the manager said. And Caleb told us to process immediately. I called the assistant. She sounded 23 and terrified. I just upload what I'm given, she said. By whom? She paused. He said not to name names. Then I'll name them, I replied. Caleb. Silence stretched. He said you were backing all guarantees, she whispered. He said family first. At a coffee shop, I met an ex-assistant of Caleb's from a startup 2 cities over. She slid me an iced napkin with numbers scribbled on it like a spy. He's always in float, she said. The kickback pattern goes like this. Overorder, add rush fees, get vendor referral discounts off books, direct the difference to a shell. When heat rises, he blames chaos. She showed me a text thread where Caleb demanded percentages for steering business to a DJ. I checked Serena's texts. She'd sent me a selfie of shoes. Which heels scream legacy? She asked. I typed back, the heels that stand on truth. I didn't hit send. Instead, I emailed myself every screenshot and put the files in a folder titled Freeze. Then Rosa got a voicemail from an unknown number that said, Tell Noah the tower falls if he keeps digging. I assumed Caleb was just sloppy with money and proud with lies. The twist landed in a bank manager's office that smelled like new envelopes. I'd asked for a meeting with someone above the helpful script readers, and they sent Ms. Fierro, a compliance officer, with a tempered stare. She listened without blinking as I laid out dates, duplicate invoices, burner emails, and a forged signature that looped where mine zagged. We've seen GalaHub shells used for pass-throughs, she said, tapping a pen on a legal pad. But your situation crosses into something else. She pivoted her monitor. On it, a suspicious activity report, names redacted, patterning transfers from vendors into an account owned by Calco Experiences, LLC. The agent's note read, Potential structuring, possible kickback scheme, event spend inflated. My heart hit the desk and crawled under. Calco, I repeated. Caleb's initials. She nodded. We can't confirm identities, she said carefully, but a Caleb Archer previously attempted to open an account with that DBA here. The file was closed for documentation issues. Then she unlocked a drawer and handed me a printout of our venue's merchant report connected to the Champagne Tower rental. See this? She asked. The card used for the original deposit was a prepaid. It reversed. The second was a gift card. It failed. The third shows as your card on a temporary authorization that keeps expanding. I swallowed anger. What happens if I revoke authorization? Vendors will scramble for security, she said. If fraud is present and you're a venue member, you can halt transactions. But the stakes spiked when she pulled a county filing showing Mom's house as collateral on a line of credit tied to wedding improvements. My mother's bungalow, which she and Rosa saved twice after Dad left, sat under a lien filed last week. The co-applicant was Serena. The notary stamp looked normal. The signature next to financial advisor was Caleb's. I left the bank shaking. I called Serena. Did you pledge Mom's house? I asked. She started to cry. It's just a bridge, she said. Caleb said it's standard. Standard is the word con artists use when they mean do not examine. I'm freezing the event, I said softly. She sobbed. If you do this, you'll never be my brother again. I worked like a storm crew, fast, deliberate, leaving nothing sparking behind me. First, I called attorney Patel, whom Rosa recommended after he helped a neighbor untangle a cousin's payday loan nightmare. He listened, asked for my documents, then cleared his throat. Noah, you have 3 lanes: civil, criminal, and family, he said. Civil gets your money back, criminal protects others, and family. Family is where you bleed. He proposed a sequence: secure the venue freeze, notify vendors to halt non-essential spend, present Serena, not Caleb, with the documentation privately, and, if she refuses to pause, execute a public, controlled reveal at a walkthrough with the venue manager and a bank representative present. You must avoid defamation, he warned. Let the documents speak. Ask questions. Do not accuse beyond proof. I gathered proof. I recorded a call with the planner's assistant, legal in our state with one-party consent, where she admitted Caleb directed changes without my knowledge. I printed bank correspondence with timestamps, and the SAR summary Ms. Fierro allowed me to reference generally. I annotated duplicates and circled forged signatures in red like a tired teacher. I exported the GalaHub activity log showing uploads from a device tagged cow, A13. I emailed Serena calmly. Need to discuss urgent financial disclosures, please, without Caleb. She replied with a heart and a calendar link for Friday. Brunch, not disclosure. Patel drafted a letter to the venue invoking the freeze clause, citing reasonable suspicion of fraud and safety risk due to unapproved electrical load. He CC'd me and the manager. The manager called within minutes. Noah, this is significant, he said. If we freeze, Serena will be devastated. Devastated is better than defrauded, I said. He exhaled. We'll schedule a review meeting with all parties, he agreed. Rosa brewed coffee like ritual. You're choosing the clean pain, she said. That's the brave kind. At midnight, Caleb texted. Let's talk man to man. No lawyers, no drama. I typed, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Roses, then stared at the send button like a detonator. Caleb arrived with roses for Rosa and a grin that set off every internal alarm. He wore contrition the way influencers wear hoodies, casual, curated. I get it, Noah, he started, palms open. You feel disrespected. I've been moving too fast. Weddings are chaos. I'm smoothing waves. He took the head of the table like he paid the mortgage. We're family, he said. We don't need outsiders involved. Outsiders, Rosa repeated flatly, taking the roses to the sink. Like banks, contracts, or the truth. Caleb pivoted, voice honey. Serena worships you, he told me. You're her rock. Don't humiliate her with a freeze. Vendors will gossip. Your mom will be a meme. Think legacy. He slid a folded paper across. A personal note from me promising to cover everything. I didn't touch it. A promise isn't payment, I said. He lowered his voice. You think your little electrician job prepares you for the pressure I'm under? I'm building a brand. Rosa's eyebrow climbed a ladder. Brand is when strangers clap, she said. Legacy is when family sleeps. He tried a new tactic, love bombing. Bro, we're going to be brothers, he said. I want you as best man. I'll tag your business, get you private clients. I work union, I said. I don't take influencer coupons. His smile thinned. You'd throw your sister under a bus to make a point? I'd pull her out before the bus arrives, I answered. Serena called and then put on speaker. Please don't do anything drastic, she begged. Caleb says the wires landed. The bank is just slow. Serena, I said gently, show me one receipt, one cleared payment in full. She paused. The screenshots are proof. Rosa whispered, screenshots are theater. Caleb stood, towering. If you freeze, I'll tell everyone you're jealous and controlling, he said. I'll tell them you extorted vendors. My hands didn't shake. They hummed. See you at the review meeting, I said. He leaned in so close I smelled expensive fear. You won't like what I can do, he murmured. I locked the door after he left and finally allowed myself 1 minute to breathe. Then Serena texted a single sentence that buckled my knees. If you make this public, Mom will lose her house. I scheduled the review meeting like a carefully loaded panel. Correct amperage, clean lines, no unused breakers. Patel emailed the venue manager a formal agenda. 1. Safety concerns tied to unauthorized load increases. 2. Documentation discrepancies affecting payment responsibility. 3. Proposed temporary freeze pending verification. He invited a bank representative. Ms. Fierro agreed to attend in her personal capacity to clarify general banking processes. Careful lawyer speak. I CC'd Serena and Mom with one request. Please come without Caleb for the first 15 minutes. Predictably, he replied from his own account and Serena's. We'll all be there as a family. On the morning of, I walked the ballroom early. The chandeliers winked like a conspiracy. I touched the dimmer racks, felt the warmth of last night's test runs, and imagined Grandma's voice. Measure twice, cut once. The manager met me with a face already braced for scandal. If this goes sideways, the internet will eat us alive, he murmured. Truth is slower than rumor, but sturdier, I said. He led us to a conference room with a mounted screen, a carafe of water, and the false piece of hotel carpet. Mom arrived clutching her rosary in a jacket she considered nice because the zipper didn't stick. Serena swept in 2 minutes later, perfect as a magazine spread and vibrating with dread. Caleb came last, late on purpose, with cologne that colonized the room. He kissed Serena's temple, shook hands with the manager, then pretended not to see Patel. "We don't need attorneys," he announced, settling into the seat with best camera angle. Patel smiled like a dentist. "I'm here to help everyone look at paper." We began. I explained the unauthorized overrides, showed my batch swipe alibi for the timestamped form, played the clip of the planner's assistant admitting upload instructions. Patel read the freeze clause aloud. Rosa, behind me, squeezed my shoulder. "MS." Fierro outlined how pending, wires don't pay bills, how screenshots are theater, how lenders flag structuring. The manager's mouth thinned. Serena stared at the table, as if the wood grain might offer a kinder reality. Caleb laughed. "So a working-class electrician thinks he's a detective," he said. "He's sabotaging his sister's once-in-a-lifetime." Patel tapped the screen. "Then let the documents speak for themselves," he said softly. I clicked the folder named Freeze and opened the forged loan agreement's signature page. "Caleb, will you explain why my signature loops where mine never loops?" Caleb leaned back, arms spread like a man expecting applause. "Babe, he's overreacting," he told Serena. "We all copy-paste signatures for convenience. It's e-commerce." Patel tilted his head. "Forgery isn't convenience," he said. "It's a felony." The manager clicked his pen, a tiny metronome for the unraveling. I enlarged the screenshot of the GalaHub activity log. There, on the right, metadata, uploaded by Cal, A13, the same device that submitted this safety override. I zoomed in on the IP address. Patel read the digits slowly, then placed a printout beside it. A lease application for Caleb's co-working office listing the identical IP block. Serena's voice emerged small. "Caleb, did you put Mom's house on a line of credit?" He smiled too brightly. "Standard bridge," he said. "Optics. MS." Fierro cleared her throat. "Nothing about that filing is standard for consumer weddings," she said. "And the notary you used has been flagged for irregularities." Caleb's jaw clicked. "You can't discuss my private affairs." "She didn't," Patel replied. "She described a category. I played the planner assistant's call." Her voice shook. "He said Noah was backing all guarantees. He said family first." Serena flinched. Caleb's mask cracked, a microsecond snarl before the charm rebooted. "This is a smear," he hissed. "Noah's jealous because I make things happen." I shook my head. "You make invoices happen," I said. "And kickbacks." I displayed the DJ text thread the ex-assistant shared, Caleb requesting a steering percentage for directing Serena's business. Patel traced the timeline with a pen, bounced deposits, fake wires, duplicate invoices, forged forms. "Motive," he said, tapping the margin, "is liquidity." Serena turned to Caleb, low and raw. "Do you love me, or my access?" He slammed his palm on the table. "This is theater," he spat. "They can't prove a thing." Patel slid one last page forward. A letter from the venue's counsel acknowledging my minority stake and the freeze clause, ready for signature. The manager looked at me. "Is this what you want?" he asked, voice a threat. I looked at Serena, at Mom's trembling hands, at Rose's steady gaze. The chandeliers reflected 1,000 tiny versions of us, all waiting to become true. I signed the freeze, and Caleb lunged for the paper with a shout. He grabbed Serena's phone, and a hidden notification flashed with another woman's name. Chaos moves faster than electricity. Serena snatched her phone back. A preview sat brazen on the lock screen. "Miss you. Same suite tonight?" Caleb's bluffing smile curdled. "Business contact," he said. No one moved. Rosa, with an elder's lethal calm, said, "Tell the truth while people still listen." Caleb bolted for the door. The manager thumbed a code, and the panel beeped, deadbolting quietly. "We're in review," he said. "Please sit." Patel called security like he was ordering lunch. Ms. Fierro excused herself to make a courtesy call. Serena stared through Caleb like he was a stain that wouldn't lift. Within an hour, the venue issued formal notice. Event frozen pending investigation, payments halted, vendors informed. The florist called me weeping, relief and anger braided together. She'd suspected the kickbacks, but feared retaliation. The planner's firm scrubbed Caleb from their portfolio in real time. A detective left me a voicemail inviting me to discuss the forged loan. Patel counseled cooperation and careful words. Online, rumors sprouted like mold after a flood. A cousin posted, "Pray for our family," with a photo of Serena crying when she was 7. I turned off notifications and went to work because rent still requires wire nuts and ladders. The price arrived quickly. My foreman pulled me aside. "We're proud of you, but the publicity's messy," he said. "Clients get nervous." He shaved my hours for a week to let dust settle. My card company froze my account pending fraud review. I emptied my emergency cash to cover Rose's spare room rent. At night, Mom called, repenting and bargaining in one breath. "Maybe we can quietly unfreeze?" She whispered. "Serena needs this. She needs safety." I said. "She needs honesty." Serena emailed me one sentence. "Bring everything to me. No Caleb, tomorrow morning." I slept like a man under a live line, muscles coiled, dreams flashing with dimmer curves and forged loops. At dawn, a sheriff's cruiser idled outside Rose's. A deputy knocked, polite but firm, serving Caleb with a temporary restraining order Serena filed overnight. The paper crackled like a fresh breaker. Then Patel forwarded me an alert. The bank placed a hold on Calco Experiences, LLC. A second alert followed, another account flagged, this one in Serena's full legal name. I found Serena on Rose's porch steps, hair uncurled, makeup surrendered. She held the flagged account letter like a hot pan. "I thought it was a honeymoon savings," she whispered. "He said he needed my name for reward status. We called MS. Fierro together." She explained slowly that the account pattern looked like a pass-through, not a nest egg, and that consent mattered, signatures mattered, dates mattered. Serena listened, then retched in the kitchen sink, grief raking through her. "I wanted a life that looked stable," she said, voice shredded. "I let him build it with lies. We made rules like scaffolding." Patel drafted a cooperative statement for vendors. Serena would meet each one, sign releases, and agree to a modest repayment plan for charges I'd already covered, returning responsibility to the rightful parties. I wrote a boundary letter to Mom. "I will help with logistics, therapy referrals, and vendor calls, but I will not pay further wedding expenses or accept blame for freezing." Rosa taped it to the fridge like a saint card. We scheduled Serena for a therapist who specialized in financial abuse. Rosa drove her and waited with crossword puzzles, stubborn and kind. At the venue, the manager and I did a safety walk, cutting fantasy loads with reality. He apologized for enabling speed over clarity. "Our industry rewards spectacle," he admitted. "We forget electricity and ethics share a rule: overload burns." We canceled the hazers, the extra uplights, the post-ceremony sparkler tunnel that would have turned the front walk into a fire code hazard. I slept, finally, without the sense of arcing just out of sight. Caleb's attorney sent a blustering letter accusing me of tortious interference. Patel responded with 16 pages of exhibits and a closing sentence that should be framed. "My client reported suspected fraud to protect his family and your own." Silence followed. The detective scheduled Serena for a statement. She asked me to sit beside her. I did, holding a tissue box like a talisman. At week's end, Serena brought me a check labeled "First Repayment," edges trembling. "This is the first honest thing I've bought in months," she said. Then Mom rang the doorbell with cupcakes and a question about rescheduling. Serena looked at me and asked if Truth could ever host a ceremony. We didn't reschedule the spectacle. Weeks later, we held something smaller and stranger in Rose's backyard. Not a wedding, but a circle. Serena wore a simple blue dress and spoke vows to herself, not to a groom. To stop buying applause with debt, to ask for receipts, to count breathing as a luxury worth keeping. Mom brought empanadas and an apology folded into a hug that lasted a full minute. Rosa lit citronella candles and declared boundaries holy sacraments. I strung cafe lights properly, load balanced, and code compliant, a quiet benediction in warm bulbs. People will ask why I didn't protect Serena silently, why I made it public. I didn't. Paper did. Vendors, banks, clauses, those are public so families don't have to be ruined in private. My secret, my minority stake and the freeze clause, wasn't a sword, it was a safety switch. If you're living a version of this story, here's what I learned. Document everything. Ask for cleared payments, not promises. Slow down any process that feels like sprinting toward a cliff. Refuse the theater of screenshots. Call a lawyer before you call a cousin. And remember that love without boundaries is just debt with flowers. The money will untangle in spreadsheets and long afternoons. The shame will take longer. Serena's repaying me in installments we signed, notarized, and copied to a shared folder titled New Start. Mom's house is safe. The lien was released after Serena revoked consent and the bank determined misrepresentation. The venue replaced Rush Luxury with a quiet policy called the NOAA clause. No event proceeds with unverified wires and unapproved load increases. I go back to work, where the wires obey physics and don't pretend to be more than they are. At night, I sit under those backyard lights and listen to a city humming with people trying not to fall apart. I still carry tools with my name burned in the handles. And if the lights flicker again, I know exactly which breaker to pull.